Hey everybody, it's Craig Beckta here, and you can find out more about me at craigbecta.com. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques to work on your HDR images using Photomatix Pro and Photoshop. Alright, okay, here we are in Photomatix Pro, and I'm going to click on Load Bracketed Photos. So we're in version 5.0. So I've got 3 that I've already taken. I'm going to load those right now, and I'm going to say OK. So we get a little menu here. It says Merge to HDR. I've got Align Source Images. I took these on a tripod. I'm not going to reduce the ghosts here, so I've got that unchecked. I've got Reduce Noise on Underexposed Images. I've got that set at 100%. I've also checked Reduce Chromatic Aberrations. White Balance I have As Shot, and for my color I have ProPhoto RGB. So I'm going to click on Align and Merge to HDR. Now there's also a way to create 32-bit HDR images in Photoshop, and that'll be a different video. And also Nik Software has an HDR program as well. So I took these images on a tripod, and on the Canon 5D Mark III there's a setting for HDR images at -2 and +2. So you set your exposure to an accurate, that you feel is accurate exposure. You set the HDR mode, you have a tripod, you hit the button, and then it takes one image 2 under, 1, 2 over, and then we bring it in the software, and here we are, we've merged it together. So I think where a lot of people go astray is they use some of these presets here, and I'll show you an overdone look. So this is maybe what you see on the web, where some people kind of hit a preset and they call this HDR. So I think it's a little bit overdone, so I'm going to show you how to start from default. So we're going to go to default here on Photomatix Pro, and it looks a little on the bright side. So if you look over here, we're set for tone mapping, method detail enhancer, and we've got a strength, color saturation, tone compression, detail contrast, and lighting adjustments. I'm going to first click there, and you'll see when I click on that, I have some more options. I have natural, natural plus, medium. I'm going to stay on the natural. I'm going to pump this up to about 80 for our strength. The color saturation I'm going to bring down to about 40. The tone compression I'm going to bring up to about +3, and the detail contrast about +3. Now I think my white point is too bright, so I'm going to bring that down slightly, and then I'm going to bring up my black point, and I'm using my histogram up here. And so that's a little bit more pleasing than image. I still might bring that black point up a little more, and then I'm going to bring my gamma down just a touch, and then you can see we've sort of got a little more accurate of an exposure. We're going to go to Adobe Camera Raw in a second, and I'm going to show you that. Now we have a temperature slider. I'm going to bring that down slightly from what we shot that at, and I cooled it off just slightly. I think I might cool off a little bit more, and I brought in a little bit more blue. And then as far as the saturation highlights, I'm going to leave that, and saturation shadows, I'm going to leave that. Sounds like I just got a text, so I better speed up. All right, okay, so now we're going to save this, and we're going to go to Photoshop. So I'm going to click Apply. Now that's going to apply these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to save this 16-bit TIFF. I'm not going to use any of these contrast or sharpening features that we have in Photomatix Pro. I'm going to do that in Photoshop. I'm going to save this image to my desktop, and I'm just going to call it that, and I'll click Save. Now I'm going to open this up in Adobe Bridge as a raw image. So we're going to our desktop. You can see there's the tone map image. I'm going to right click, Open in Camera Raw. So now we're going to make these adjustments as if we had a raw image. So the first thing I'm looking at is the exposure. I think the exposure is not bad. I think I might just bring it down just a touch to -10. The contrast I think I'll leave. The highlights I'll probably bring down because I've got some blown out highlights. I'll probably bring that to about -19. I think the black point I might bring down just a touch. And the white point, I think that's pretty good. The clarity, I'll probably bring this up to about +20. I think that might be a little too much. Maybe we'll just back it off a bit. And then the vibrance I'll bring up a bit, and the saturation. Now one other thing too is you can click here to remove chromatic aberration, but we already did that in the first step. And if this was sort of crooked or out of adjustment, you could make some adjustments here, but if I click the auto adjustment, I think it looks better the way it was, so I'll click right there. One other thing is I can apply a gradient. So I'm going to come up to my gradient tool. I'm going to hold the Shift key. I'm going to drag down, and then I'm going to apply a slight gradient to the sky. Now you can see if I go left, the sky gets really dark. If I go right, the sky gets really bright. I think I'll probably go to about maybe -30 right there on the sky. And I'm going to click Open Object. Now this is going to open in Photoshop, and now we've got the settings from Photomatix Pro, plus what we did in Adobe Camera Raw. Now we have all the features available in Photoshop that we can further use. So one thing I want to do, if I right-click right here, I can go New Smart Object via Copy. And now I can double-click this, and I have a separate copy of this, and I'm back in Adobe Camera Raw, and I can make further adjustments and then blend it. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to go Convert to Grayscale. I'm going to say OK. And then what I can do is put this on the soft light mode, and now I can blend this. So I've got even more added contrast. So let's say we go to 50%, and I can click on and off, and I've brought in a little more contrast to the skies. Now what I'll do is I'll highlight these two, Command E to merge them, Command J to make a copy, and then what I could do is I'm going to just use this tool right here to crop it a bit. And I'm set for the rule of thirds, so I'm going to kind of try to put a little more emphasis and make this boat a little more centered than it was previously. So I'm just going to bring this in a bit. And I think that's a more pleasing composition. I'll hit Return or Enter. And I think I took too much sky. So because I have this unchecked, Delete Cropped Pixels unchecked, I can just click on that and I can bring in a little more sky. So I brought back some of that sky. I'm going to hit Return or Enter. And I think that's a little better. So there's one other thing too. I think what I'll do is I'll create a new stamp visible layer. So I'm going to hit Shift, Option, Command E on the Mac. There's my new stamp visible layer. I can come up here to Filter, Other, and I could add a little more sharpness using the high pass filter. I have that set at about 3. Let's go, we'll say close to 4. We'll say OK. I'll go to Soft Light, and you'll see that that adds a little bit of crisp and sharpness to it. Probably a little bit too much, so what I think I might do is bring the opacity down to about 40%. I'll click on and off. That's looking a little better. If I zoom in, we can kind of look at the boat. I'm going to click off. I'm going to click on. It's not overdone. You can see if I'm at 100%, that's a little over sharp. But if I bring it down to about 40%, you can see that's a lot better. And if I want it more, or less actually, I could hit Soft Light. So Soft Light, Overlay, play with your modes. You've got Linear Light, that adds a lot more sharpness, but also contrast. So I think we're going to go with maybe Soft Light and about 50 if I click on and off. That doesn't look too bad. So you can see here we've got an HDR image that doesn't look overdone, but it does give us a little more, I guess you could say, room in the shadows and room in the highlights. On the Canon 5D Mark III, you're looking at about a 6-stop dynamic range. So this gives you a little broader dynamic range than what you could get with one image. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm coming out with new videos every week. So if you subscribe, you'll be notified and you won't miss any of my videos. So go ahead, subscribe to my channel right now. Check out my other videos and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Just hit the thumbs up button below the video and leave a comment about what you want to see in future videos. I read those comments every day and I reply to them, and I'll try to tailor the future videos to something that you want to see. Alright, so thanks again for watching. Check out the rest of my videos and I'll see you in the next one. Before you go, make sure you check out some of my other videos. Click on that large thumbnail for Outdoor Portrait Secrets Part 1, and then there's Part 2 and Part 3 to the right. Also click on subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, give me a thumbs up and check out those videos.